So, by critical thought, we have come to the conclusion that hell is a plausible reality, not specious or spurious, not false or untrue, and yet it has not been proven, but allows for such proof. Which brings me to my second major movement, that hell is a plausible reality, but requires justified belief. Just because you conceive of something does not mean that it exists. This is where we bring the theologians in, and they say, yes, except when perfection requires necessity of being. Let me explain. Just because you have a concept of God does not mean He exists. But for God to be perfect, He needs to exist, and therefore your concept of God includes His existence. Now, if we transfer it to the matter of hell, you need to ask, why do all people in the world have some concept of a permanent punitive punishment or pain that compensates or adequately is retributive for everything that a man or a woman does? Is there a possibility that this conception really can be translated into existence because the reality of evil demands that kind of a response? Nevertheless, whenever we come to believe upon something, we have to come to that belief through just a variety of sources. One such source is called testimony. Testimony is where you appeal to authority to come to a knowledge or a conviction that something is true. Not only belief, but knowledge. Much of what I know, much of what you know, really has come to you from outside. You didn't come to conclusions on your own, having experienced it all yourself, and some of your experiences may actually be false. Let me explain this. Many of you don't know about Gangtok, Sikkim, but you just heard about it. It's a place, and it's a beautiful place. You now know about it through revelation. You can look it up on the internet, you can hear testimonies of people who have been there, its beauty, its scenery, and so on. In the same way, hell can be established from authoritative sources. Now, there's false appeal to authority and true appeal to authority. A false appeal to authority is someone who is without integrity or character, or not an expert on the subject who gives you information. Check out the Urban Legends websites and you will know that there are lots of stuff floating around. But a good or true appeal to authority is when a person is both expert in knowledge, but also is trustworthy in character. When it comes to hell, we actually have that kind of a testimony of a person who is expert in knowledge and trustworthy in character. Many of you know one of the greatest men who ever lived in the world is the man called Jesus, whom some, of course, worship as God. Now, Jesus claimed to have expert knowledge on hell, and then he pursued it by showing that he's a trustworthy character, so that you need to accept the possibility of hell from him. Expert knowledge. He gives every indication that he was there when hell was created. Its constituents, its entrance requirements, including him being the one who judges who goes to heaven or hell. Its duration, that is eternal, its timing when it comes to be, its nature. For example, he says hell is permanent. He uses the same word eternal, unceasing forever, that he uses of God himself. So as long as God exists, there's unceasing forever existence of hell. Jesus also says that hell is very, very painful. Very painful. I don't want to get dramatic or melodramatic here, because you've seen lots of horrific, horrid situations. But here are some images of hell that the Lord Jesus used. For example, he said, hell is like an eternal dustbin, a garbage can, a trash dump, where all the unrepairable, the unsalvageable, unredeemable stuff is placed. Occasionally, I help my wife out with taking out the garbage. I never have to wonder if something of value and worth is placed there, and if the garbage stays there very long, maggots come in, creeping things come in. Hell is for that which cannot be sold on eBay. It's for that which is completely of no worth. The eternal dustbin. Jesus also said hell is a eternal darkness. Have you ever been in a place when it's just absolutely dark? You call it outer darkness. You've been to a wedding. Inside the wedding hall there is festivity and joy and music and laughter. But hell is outside. There's darkness. When there are no lights, there's a noise here, a scratch there. When your phone battery is dead and your GPS doesn't work, so you can't see the numbers either on your system or on the road. Hell is considered eternal darkness. That will drive you crazy. If you've been in an unknown place, a place that's forlorn, you experienced it. Jesus also described in his expert knowledge of hell that hell is an eternal place of detention. It's called a life imprisonment. A life imprisonment is for those who cannot get out, ever. That there is a huge gulf fixed between hell and anywhere else that you can go to. There's no rescue. I went to visit a friend once who was thrown into prison for 30 days. And though it was just hard and difficult, the very fact that he will be released in 30 days gave him hope to be alive, to put up with the hardship and the ghastliness of prison. Hell is seen as eternal detention. Another image of hell is that hell is a fiery furnace, eternal destruction. Fire is possibly the worst known pain there is in the human race. You go to a hospital, to a separate burning treatment unit, and you will hear the moaning and the groaning of fire. Now, we don't know the chemical composition of the fire that Jesus speaks about because both physical bodies and the fire exist and coexist. He uses a phrase about where the worm does not die, where the fire is not quenched. That is, the worm is the internal pain that you will experience, and the fire is the external pain that you will experience. Eternal destruction. But then he uses another phrase. We call it eternal devastation, of weeping and gnashing of teeth. Weeping over loss, regret, sorrow, regret, loss, regret, sorrow. Have you ever experienced losing something and you can't find it? You look for it everywhere. Or losing a loved one and you go through the grief cycle. And what if you never got over the grief cycle? Hell is a place where there's no laughter. That itself will drive people crazy. No jokes, no creativity, no music, no art, no aesthetics, no culture. Everything that you enjoyed in life, you better enjoy it right now if you want to go to hell, because earth may be the closest you come to heaven. Weeping, meaning groaning and groveling and in pain. The other part of it is just gnashing. It's the gritting of teeth. The gritting of teeth could be because of terrible pain that a person experiences, trying to grit the teeth and face the reality of pain. But there's also the gritting of teeth in rebellion. It is possible that in hell, people say, I hate God and I want to be here. And the rebellion only intensifies in anger, in anarchy. Where every person has to fend for himself and assert himself. Remember Milton, who said, better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven will be the sentiment of paradise lost. Everybody feels he's a king in heaven, except they have to face all the other kings in heaven. Selfish anarchy.